You're staying in a relationship that makes you miserable because you've already invested 3 years. You're finishing a degree you hate because you're already halfway through. You're watching a terrible movie because you paid for the ticket. Your past is controlling your future, and it's ruining your life. Imagine you buy a ticket to a concert for $100. The day of the concert, you feel sick, the weather is terrible, and you found out the opening act you wanted to see canceled. You really don't want to go anymore, but you feel like you have to go because you already spent the money. So you drag yourself there, have a miserable time, and waste your entire evening. Here's the thing, though, that $100 is gone whether you go or not. Staying home won't get your money back. But your brain can't accept that. It tells you that not going would mean wasting the money, so you have to go to make the money worth it. This is the sunk cost fallacy, and it's probably controlling more of your decisions than you realize. The sunk cost fallacy happens when you continue investing time, money, or effort into something just because you've already invested time, money, or effort into it. You make decisions based on what you've already spent instead of based on what makes sense going forward. The past investment is gone. It's sunk. You can't get it back. But your brain treats it like it matters for future decisions, even though it doesn't. This leads to terrible choices. You finish eating food you don't want because you paid for it, even though eating it won't get your money back and now you're just uncomfortable. You stay in bad situations because leaving would mean admitting the time you spent was wasted. You keep investing in failing projects because you've already put so much in. You hold on to things that aren't working because you can't accept that your past investment is gone. The really messed up part is that this makes things worse. By refusing to cut your losses, you end up losing even more. You stay in the bad relationship another year, wasting another year of your life. You finish the degree you hate, then get stuck in a career you hate. You keep putting money into a failing business until you lose everything. The sunk cost fallacy turns small losses into huge losses because you won't accept that the small loss already happened. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. Relationships are a massive one. People stay in relationships that clearly aren't working because they've already been together for years. They think, I've invested so much time in this person. If I leave now, all that time was wasted. But here's the thing, that time is already spent. It's in the past. You can't get it back whether you stay or leave. The only question that matters is whether staying will make your future better or worse. But the sunk cost fallacy makes people focus on the past instead of the future. So they stay. They waste another year, then another. They think, well, now I've invested even more time, so I definitely can't leave. The sunk cost gets bigger, and leaving gets harder and harder, even though the relationship is still bad. They trap themselves in misery because they can't accept that the past investment is gone. Education does this to people constantly. You start a degree program and realize halfway through that you hate it. Maybe you discovered you're not interested in the subject. Maybe the career prospects aren't what you thought. Maybe you found something else you'd rather do. The logical choice would be to switch to something you actually want. But you've already spent 2 years and thousands of dollars on this degree. Your brain screams at you that switching would mean wasting all that time and money. So you finish the degree you hate. You graduate with credentials in something you don't want to do. And then you're stuck, because now you have this degree that represents 4 years and tons of money. So you feel like you have to use it. You get a job in that field even though you knew in year 2 that you didn't want this career. The sunk cost fallacy just cost you years of your life doing something you don't want to do. Jobs are another huge one. People stay in jobs they hate because they've been there for years. They've built seniority. They've learned the systems. They've invested time climbing the ladder. Leaving would mean starting over somewhere new, and that feels like throwing away all that investment. So they stay miserable for another year, then 5 years, then they wake up 10 years later in the same job they hated a decade ago. Business owners fall into this trap hard. Someone starts a business and it's not working. They're losing money. Customers aren't coming. The market isn't there. The logical choice is to shut it down and try something else or go get a regular job. But they've already invested their savings into this business. They've spent years building it. They've told everyone they know about it. Admitting failure and closing feels like wasting all that investment. So they keep going. They borrow more money. They work longer hours. They drain their savings even more. The business keeps failing, but they can't stop because of all they've already put in. Eventually, they lose everything: money, time, relationships, health. What could have been a small loss if they'd quit early becomes a massive loss because they could not accept the sunk cost. This happens with home repairs and car repairs all the time. You have an old car that keeps breaking down. You've already spent $2,000 fixing it this year. Now something else breaks and it'll cost another $1,000 to fix. You should probably just get a different car. But you think, I've already put $2,000 into this car. I can't give up on it now. So you spend another $1,000, then another. You end up spending $5,000 keeping alive a car that's only worth $3,000. The same pattern shows up with projects. You start a project and realize it's not going well. Maybe it's a book you're writing, or a renovation you're doing, or a certification you're pursuing. The smart move would be to stop and use your time on something better. But you've already put in hours, or days, or months. Stopping would mean that time was wasted. So you keep going even though you're not enjoying it and it's not leading anywhere good. Movies and entertainment show this in a less serious way, but it's the same bias. You're 30 minutes into a movie and it's terrible. You're not enjoying it at all. You could turn it off and watch something else or do something productive. But you already invested 30 minutes, so you feel like you need to finish it. 2 hours later, you've wasted your whole evening on a movie you hated just because you couldn't accept that the first 30 minutes were already wasted time. Video games do this deliberately. They make you invest tons of time building up your character, collecting items, progressing through levels. Then the game stops being fun, but you can't quit because you've invested so much. You've spent hours on this character. Quitting would waste all that progress. So you keep playing even though you're not having fun anymore. You're playing to justify past time spent, not because you actually want to play. Subscriptions exploit this too. You sign up for a gym membership, or a streaming service, or a monthly box. You don't use it much, but you keep paying because you've been paying for months already. Canceling would mean admitting you wasted money on all those previous months. So you keep paying, wasting more money each month, because you can't accept that the past payments are already gone. Stock investments get destroyed by sunk cost thinking. You buy a stock and it drops. You should sell and reinvest somewhere better. But selling would mean accepting the loss. You tell yourself, I've already lost money on this. I can't sell now. I need to hold until it comes back. So you hold on to a losing investment while better opportunities pass you by. Sometimes the stock never recovers, and you lose even more. The sunk cost fallacy turned a small loss into a big loss. So, how do you escape the sunk cost fallacy? How do you make decisions based on the future instead of the past? First, always ask this question. If I were starting fresh right now with no past investment, would I choose to do this? If you wouldn't start this relationship today, you shouldn't stay in it just because you've been in it for years. If you wouldn't enroll in this degree program today, knowing what you know now, you shouldn't finish it just because you started it. If you wouldn't buy this car today, you shouldn't keep repairing it just because you've already put money into it. This question forces you to ignore the sunk cost and focus on whether continuing makes sense going forward. The past is gone. You're essentially making a new choice right now about your future. Make that choice based on what's best for your future, not on what you did in the past. Second, recognize that the investment is already lost. This is hard to accept emotionally, but it's the truth. The time you spent is gone. The money you spent is gone. Not continuing won't get it back. Continuing won't make it less gone. The past is the past. It's sunk. The only thing you control is what you do next. Letting go of the past investment isn't wasting it. Wasting more time and money trying to justify the past investment is the real waste. Third, think about opportunity cost. Every hour you spend on something you should not be doing is an hour, You're not spending on something you should be doing. Every dollar you put into a bad investment is a dollar that could be in a good investment. Every year you stay in a bad situation is a year you're not spending building something better. The cost of continuing isn't just the direct cost. It's all the opportunities you're missing. Fourth, make the implicit explicit. Write down what you've already invested and what you'd need to invest going forward. When you see it on paper, it becomes clearer. You've invested $5,000 in this car and it needs another $2,000. Would you pay $7,000 for this car? No? Then don't spend the extra $2,000 just because you already spent $5,000. Fifth, get outside opinions. Other people don't have the emotional attachment to your sunk costs. They can see the situation more clearly. If everyone you trust tells you to quit something, they're probably right. They're not blinded by the sunk cost fallacy like you are. Sixth, practice cutting your losses on small things. The sunk cost fallacy is a habit. You can break the habit by intentionally stopping things even when you've invested in them. Leave the bad movie. Stop reading the boring book. Cancel the subscription you don't use. Each time you successfully cut a loss, it gets easier to do it with bigger things. Seventh, reframe quitting as smart, not as failure. Society tells you that quitting is bad and perseverance is good, but that's wrong. Sometimes quitting is the smartest thing you can do. Knowing when to cut your losses is a skill. It's not giving up. It's making a rational decision to stop throwing good money and time after bad. Eighth, remember that the past investment isn't wasted if you learned something. Even if a relationship ends, you learned about yourself and what you want. Even if you switched degrees, you learned what you don't want to do. Even if a business fails, you gained experience. The past doesn't become worthless just because you don't continue. You can honor your past investment by learning from it and making a better choice going forward. The sunk cost fallacy is probably affecting more of your life than you realize. It's keeping you in bad relationships, bad jobs, bad investments, and bad decisions. It's making you focus on the past instead of the future. It's turning small losses into big losses because you can't accept that the small loss already happened. This bias feels logical when you're experiencing it. It feels responsible and mature to honor your commitments and finish what you started. It feels wasteful to walk away from investments you've made. But it's not logical. It's not responsible. It's a cognitive bias that's tricking you into making bad decisions. The past is gone. You can't change it. You can't get back the time, money, or effort you already spent. The only thing you can control is what you do next. And what you do next should be based on what will make your future better, not on what will make your past feel less wasted. Stop finishing terrible movies. Stop staying in relationships that don't work. Stop pursuing degrees and careers you hate. Stop throwing money into cars and businesses that are failing. Stop doing things just because you've already started them. Your past investment doesn't obligate you to keep investing. It's already spent whether you continue or not. Make decisions based on where you are now and where you want to go, not based on where you've been. That's how you escape the sunk cost fallacy. That's how you stop letting your past control your future. That's how you stop wasting your life trying to justify past investments that are already gone. Subscribe to learn about more biases that are controlling your decisions without you knowing it.